There are only a few things certain in life: death, taxes, and a Dundalk defeat ruining your weekend once more. Yes, it's the Town End podcast. It's season 4, episode 32, where Dundalk have fallen to a 2-1 spirited defeat, but ultimately come away fruitless from this trip out west to go through the game tonight. I have Steph.
Hey,
and welcome back, our World Cup hero, Gally. Welcome back.
Sorry, boys. I was on mute there. I do apologise.
Yeah, you're not used to this. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. You
Ciao.
Yeah, see, when you're over Italy, you had people doing things for you. You're not used to having to do things yourself. Understand? Guy, you're very welcome back. Congratulations. Nothing. Everything's been running smoothly since you left. We've done everything you left on the note. Make sure nothing bad would happen. The club definitely didn't nearly go out of existence. That definitely did not happen. And we're definitely not bottom of the league. And that gap's got bigger.
What a thought.
Oh, wait, no, actually everything there happened. I just realised. Sorry. Lads, I suppose, Gadi, I'll turn to you first. It's another defeat. There's positives to be taken with it, but with 5 games to go now, you're kind of running out of positives to be taken from match. It's the time to start picking up points.
Yeah, we just got a wee snippet just before we come on, and we're quickly talking before. We probably never threw a podcast together so fast in all our lives tonight. But I was speaking to a guy on Twitter, Neil Adele, who goes to Oriel Park, and Neil tunes in, and I was speaking to him just at the end of the game. And if you, even as tough as the games were, even as some of the results were, if you'd have said to me at the start of the summer, even end of May, something like that we would be in this fight and we'd still be down here, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy, because it's the hope that kills you, isn't it? Like you were talking about tonight's game in particular. We've had a really strong start. We've had a week from hell. We were talking about off the field stuff. To be fielding tonight is glorious in itself, I suppose. But the way we started tonight on the front foot started really well. We've probably haven't. I don't know if we've had a better first half really all season, with the exception maybe Pats and Inchicore. But I mean, it's just when you're talking trying to pick up points, you're in the final furlong. You're at that last hurdle where you really need something. You need a bit of luck, and we've started so well, but then it's just been typical Dundalk. Now, look, we can off the field stuff is obviously going to play in the boys' minds, but at the end of the day, you got to get on. These boys must be mad for football after the week they've had, and they've started brightly. But again, overall, I've seen some tweets that we are the better team. We were definitely better team in the first half, but then, like you say, we've just disappeared in the second half. Started so well, probably created 1 or 2 chances that we probably could have gone before the penalty and one after. But like I say, it's the hope that kills you. We get such a good start, and then here we are an hour and a half later. And barring an absolute shit show over the next couple of weeks from Drogheda, I just don't see where we pick up points. I don't see where. I think tonight was the night really to kickstart something. And, with Drogheda last night, Drogheda Monday night now again, that game in Bowes next week against Bowes is just, it could be over by then. It won't be over mathematically, but it could be kind of just down in the sewers at that stage. But yeah, look, at Frank, I agree. Look, the club is there. Look, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. And but performances like tonight it's just where we are, isn't it? That's just our level at the minute. We just can't seem to go up to that 5th gear where we need them. Apart from that, though, it's class.
Yeah. Just look, before we start into the football chat, obviously the news sort of came around about Maxi, and just want to send out all the positive thoughts and prayers and everything else. Hopefully, he comes round. He was obviously commenting on the show last week. We all know how big of a figure he is in the Dundalk and obviously the wider League of Ireland family. So obviously thoughts and prayers go out to him first of all.
Absolutely,
a couple of mentions on commentary, so fair play to the two comms who mentioned him a good few times. And look, that just testament to the sort of character he is, that he's known far and wide, and you know, all in positive regard. So look, hopefully he comes out of that soon. Just whatever he's going through at the minute. But yeah, like look, I think we were all, you know, on a bit of a high, and it sort of probably, as Gally mentioned already, it was probably a bit of a lift and a release for the players to actually get out onto the pitch and start playing some football after the distractions of, you know, will we even get to this point that we're on the pitch and playing. Massive shout out to the fans. Obviously, we're watching it from home, but you could hear them. You could hear them chanting the whole way through, and even at the end with the result, and you know, we're still supporting the team like rock bottom. I don't know if you get many clubs around the country that would back the team as much as they have, but just on the playing side of things, like competitive traps well. I think Fitzgerald put one across the box that Borrow nearly got on the end of, but like, you know, they were really struggling to create chances against us and break us down. We were getting the ball to Hogan a lot, and he was seeing a lot of joy. And you know, like we haven't got a bit of luck all season. Like the last 2 weeks we're talking about penalty decisions not going for us, and then we sort of get one that does go with us. I think it's probably one that's up for debate. A lot of people saying it is or it isn't, but for me, he chests it and then tries to turn, and as he turns, he maybe hooks it away with his arm. Like the referee's staring, looking at it, and he was pretty confident there was a penalty straight away. Now I know they had a bit of protest, but you're obviously going to do that. And Benson sticks it away nicely with a bit of heart, and I thought McGinty was going to claw it away, but it was in the corner enough, and there was enough power to take it in. But even up until half time, you know, it was really positive. You were sort of not saying the halftime came at the wrong time, but you were just hoping there wouldn't be a bit of a drop off when we went to the second half, and they were always going to have a spell or two in the game where they'd really pile on the pressure. But like the story of the season, we're just disappointed at the goals we've given up again. They've gotten a free kick near the halfway line. It's just launched into the box, and it's a half header away. I'm sure Ryan O'Kane will probably think, you know, he probably could have closed the cross down quicker, and Andy Boyes caught underneath it. I suppose the striker just drifts into the centre, and look, it's a good cross, but I'm sure, you know, if Boyle had been touch tight, he wins that every day. And then it's a looping header, and maybe Pike's probably in the back of his head. Maybe he should have just scooped it out with his hand and taken it. But, you know, that's probably a straight red then. So look, probably weighing it up, it might be better to take the goal and then try and go again. But then, you know, the old curse of the long ball and chasing back towards our own goal, like it's just a nightmare for defenders to be chasing back towards our own goal. And obviously the attacker's clever, he comes across Can. But yeah, look, it's disappointing goals to concede again, totally avoidable in my opinion. And then, you know, we're back to what could have been, because you always look, as soon as we're up, you're always looking at that league table going, you know, if it just stays like this, you know, we just blow it up at half time, and yeah, we're like, just the hope that kills you again, like Ali said, hope that kills you. But yeah, look, I think again you can't fault the effort of the players. They gave it everything. They're obviously in turmoil the last couple of weeks, not being paid again. Obviously, we know it's going to be sorted out or whatever, but like they even just have that pressure on you that you didn't get your wages this week. And like, you know, you wouldn't have shown it there. Like if someone from outside the league watched that first half, I think we were battling to get into the top four, and Sligo in a dogfight to save themselves. But yeah, look, the game's played over 90 minutes, I suppose. So, you know, we can't really complain when we ship those goals, to be honest with you.
Well, that's it for tonight. We'll see you for
14 minutes with a bullet.
Yeah, sorry.
Gally, like in our own group, we mentioned it. It's like we need a second here in this first half. When we got the penalty, we got the luck with that, like Steph mentioned, and we got ourselves into the match. It's then, it's those opportunities that so far this year we just haven't been able to do, is just really put a team to the sword and stretch our lead out like that, because we know inevitably, and what happened in the second half, that we will have to succumb to some possession and give up opportunities to the opposition. So you need to get those goals ahead and try to give yourself the best chance to win. But we didn't do that in the first half, and we paid the ultimate price then in the second.
Yeah, and like we're saying it since pretty much, I was going to say the first day of the season, but we're actually probably saying it since halfway through last year. When teams play Dundalk, you're almost guaranteed a goal. I mean, it's not guaranteed, but like you will get enough chances that they'll cough them up and you'll get a goal. And we don't do ourselves any favors. I mean, like we can talk about the off-field stuff aside, we're just talking about the football itself. The lads can play. Like, I mean, you're talking about not putting players to the sword. I think I mentioned already, I think just a couple of minutes ago, the last time we really got a team and really put them down to nothing was Pats and then Chicago. I don't remember the form was the first half, probably first. And even that game, when you look at that game, it's Dundalk season in a nutshell. We've gone well, probably above what people were expecting, and then the game is really tight. It's finished just with the odd goal. Like, we nearly threw the fucking thing away. Yeah, and that's just been the story of the season. But you're right. Like, I mean, that second goal, it's sometimes a 2-0 lead's bad, but I mean, Dundalk, the season we've had, we badly need that second goal for games. And like you say, what's going to happen. You go in 1-0 and the teams will fancy themselves against Dundalk. That's just the way it is. They don't need to be ruthless. They just need to hang in there long enough, because they will get a chance. And like Steph says, you've two free lads in the box. Boyle could have closed in a little bit closer, and Ryan O'Kane as well. Two free lads.
He just seemed to float in between the two of them. Nobody was touched.
And if he doesn't get it, the guy behind him, I don't know who it is behind him. I don't know who the player is behind him. But if he doesn't get it, the other fella nails it, and then it's a long ball. I mean, Sligo probably came into the game better in the second half, but we consistently and every week will cough up 3 or 4 chances a match, and teams will take them, and they know what they're going to get with Dundalk. And unfortunately, that's just been the season we've had. No amount of players, no amount of tactical change has changed that. It's just something it's just one of those seasons for us. Now, like I say, one of those seasons, like, it's so flippant to say that. You could be playing first division football next year, but yeah, it's just teams, they don't even need to be clever. It's if you get at us long enough, you'll wear us down. And it's just the way we are and the way I won't say we're set up to play, because we've had 17 different managers this year, but it just seems to be a running thing with this particular squad this season. And it's probably, obviously it's magnified by this week, but at the same time, whatever happened during the week, there was a bit of sigh of relief. John Temple's obviously done an interview during the week. We might skip on that later on, but it's the fact that we're playing football on the field every week. Like Steph says, these lads must be just through the ring or not being paid. I think Frank had messed up there as well. So we can't be overly massively critical, because this is not a new thing. This is what we used to see in week out. But unfortunately, they can't take it up a gear now for the next couple of weeks. You hope that they can. They might find something, a bit of luck up the road as well, or down the road, however you want to look at it. But it's just typical what we've seen over the last, and it's not even this season. It's the end of last season as well. This season's going on an 18 months trend here at the minute.
Steph, just to go back to the 2 goals that we conceded here tonight, because once again, it's a free kick, which we attempt to clear, kind of similar, not exact or anything like that, but I'm thinking back to the Shells match that we lost as well. It was a free kick in, and we didn't do well enough clearing the first ball, that when the second ball comes back in at us, we ended up conceding. And then that happens tonight with another free kick in. We don't get the ball away enough in our first clearance. Then it gets recycled back in again, and they scored a header. And then it's a long ball over the top for the penalty, like we've seen at Waterford. This must be the most frustrating part for John Daly, because I'm sure in training they're looking at back at all the footage over the past few games. But unfortunately, we do have an easy underbelly, because they're the same types of goals we're conceding week in, week out.
Yeah, it's frustrating, very frustrating. Like, yeah, there's a lot of similarities to the goals were given up, and then when you actually go back and you go through them, you like, as a defender, you're going to be looking at them being very disappointed. Like, I'm sure Andy Boyle's looked back at the last two games. Well, he won't have looked back at tonight's yet, but he'll be looking back at them too. And it's easy to sit here in the cheap seats and say you should have done this or you should have done that. But when you look at the level he's got to in his career, he's obviously been involved with senior international squads, and to just be giving up a goal like that, where he's just watching a cross coming in and the striker just drifts off, and like, look, he's going to be disappointed, but look, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be banging their heads against the wall saying, look, we should concede this goal again, and it's just the frustration of history repeating itself a couple of weeks on the trot now. So yeah, it's a difficult one as a fan, because you think, like, how can they concede that sort of goal again? And maybe when you're in that sort of position as well, a dogfight, then these things just keep reoccurring. But you have to start looking towards next week already, because you get back to Oriel Park, and probably a case of what ifs again. If we had picked up a point, or if we had held on to the 3 points, would it give you the glimmer of hope to looking at Drogheda, and even just to put a wee bit of pressure on Bulls? I know, like, they probably seem like they're out of sight and we're clutching at straws a wee bit. But yeah, look, it's just tough to come on here and try and not criticize players, but like you're nitpicking at stuff, and you're like Andy Boyle, like, he'll probably, in another 10 years, when somebody's looking back at the history of the club, like, and you look at his roll of honour, like, he'll go down as one of the greats. Like, so now we're talking about him in a relegation dogfight where he's at the bottom of the table, and we're conceding cheap goals week in, week out. It's a tough one to sort of to speak through.
Yeah. Gally, the other big moment, I think, in the game is Ed McGinty's save in added time at the end from Norman Garbutt. I mean, as soon as I seen it, I thought, surely this is in. It's heading that direction. It's a hell of a claw and push it away at the same time. It's one of those things we always come up against, someone who has an amazing performance against us. But look, it's a hell of a save, and Garbutt probably done everything right that he could have done in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, the only thing you could have changed if you could try and get it forward to the post to clip the post. But I mean, that's like that save. Like, I remember Sheps having a save a couple of seasons ago similar. I think it might have been in Oriel Park.
I think it was the one against Rovers, wasn't it?
Could have been, yeah. But I don't think I've seen a better save. I definitely haven't seen a better save this season. I think McGinty might have pulled off a save earlier in the season as well. But that, like, and again, we're taking it from the dog point of view. Well, 9 times out of 10 that goes in, or he slaps it into the net. The fact that it's almost behind him and he's managed to get it away, and it hasn't even bounced back into the 6-yard box for a second rebound at it. It's top class. I mean, absolutely, like that. Like, if it's Premier League football, it's probably getting replay. It's a top class save. But again, when you're against it, and Sligo are where they are and where we are, and McGinty's in the form he's in, and in fairness, Mark Carroll had mentioned Monroe pulled off a great save earlier on in a decent match as well. But that save is just, look, when your luck's out, we'd have no luck, only but bad luck. It's such a pity. But yeah, look, you can't deny the save. I mean, that's, aside from what's going on, aside of who's playing, if you're just looking as a neutral, obviously a Sligo fan as well, the save is absolutely, like, it's world class. It's not top class, it is a world class save. But fuck him anyway.
Well, Steph, if there's anything to be taken from this, is we've now got up to 22 minutes to talk about a football match. I think that's a record for the past 3 weeks, due to the enormity of the situation, I suppose, in Oriel Park. We might as well touch on this. It's been another crazy week. I think I was talking to you up in Oriel on Monday evening, and we didn't know what way anything was going then.
That was about 5 weeks ago now at this stage.
It definitely feels it. Yeah. I mean, if you want, we want to just talk through the week that was there.
Yeah, look, it was bizarre to say the least. Gally goes international on us, and we're bursting at the seams as a club, like so. Yeah, it's just a crazy run of events. I think every day could have had a season on Netflix as a documentary. We could have done, Monday have a 2-3 hour special on that. Tuesday, look, all the fans have rallied round. There was a good crowd up in Oriel Park on Monday to show the support. It was great to see John Daly come out. I think there could have been about 8 or 10 players there, possibly, to show the bit of gratitude for the support they've received. Obviously, they're in a tough spot as well, where they weren't getting wages and getting deferred, and having to try and concentrate on training and matches and everything else. And then you're getting a couple of hundred messages on your WhatsApp, and you're in a different 3 or 4 different WhatsApp groups that are all telling you different things. That there's a multi-millionaire coming in to save the club. No, we're dead. Like, as a club, like, we're going out of business. And yeah, like, it was just crazy. You didn't know where to turn. You didn't know what to believe. There was a lot of people panicking, obviously. Just the history of the club. There was 3 or 4 different scenarios if somebody did come in to save it. I think we probably we initially thought we landed at a best case scenario with John Temple coming in with his investors, but obviously he didn't want to, get too excited by the position we're in, and he gave that interview with the club, and it was probably a reality check for people. We're not out of the woods by any stretch. We're still in massive trouble, and hopefully between, some of the people I was speaking to already wheels in motion about fundraising. I know the 1903 are organising a music bingo in the Lisdoo, which hopefully is well supported. There's 3 or 4 more things in the pipeline. I know there's a few people with lots of good ideas, which obviously the meeting, which was on Tuesday night, was it? I can't remember.
Wednesday night.
Obviously the meeting.
No, Tuesday night. Oh God, Tuesday night. You're right. It was Tuesday. Sorry.
Same week. It's only Saturday.
I've lost it.
When I was up there on Wednesday, there was nobody there. But yeah, no, look, there seemed to be, it was great to get everyone in the same room probably and shooting off ideas. I had my own training, so I didn't make it, but I caught up on it on YouTube, which delighted it was streamed, so fair play, Christopher. Gally was getting on RT News. He's only back in the country, and he was getting his mug on television before me. Disgusted. But yeah, look, it was good. Like, the amount of different faces you've seen, and people that had, kept the club going in certain stages, not just over the last couple of years, but the last couple of decades and stuff, and some very strong characters with lots of fight in them. So look, it'll not be for one to try and that they'll be looking to generate, cash and much needed fundraising to go towards whatever it may be. Now at the minute, sometimes it might be just a plug a hole that needs to be sorted. But yeah, look, I don't think anybody should get carried away. I think we're still in a very vulnerable position. A few people I was speaking to even today up the town were like, the books are really, really bad, and they might be even worse than what's been put out there. So yeah, look, I think we're in a bit of a precarious position. So hopefully for our sake, we're still talking nonsense on a podcast next season of it on the football club. And that's only me until Wednesday. I don't even know what happened the rest of the week. So lost track.
Gally, you obviously were from afar, kind of watching this all unfold, and then you come home to the end of the roller coaster that is the takeover. I mean, just your thoughts on the whole situation and the craziness of it all, and where you feel that the club currently is, and where do we need to get to?
Yeah, I was only in Italy. It makes it sound like I was in Mars, but like I wasn't really paying attention to the phone that much because it was just nice to get away and that. But so the phone was pinging, obviously, but I didn't think too much. I kind of thought, right, well, yeah, it'd be grand. We get a couple of weeks, and then the mess just started going up, and you start reading the figures, and you hear rumors, and the phone rang a couple of times saying they won't be there at the weekend. This was last weekend, and so you're kind of flying home, and you keep your phone on charge, but I remember obviously when it was 2012. You run the SOS. That seemed to come and go over a longer period of time, but didn't seem as drastic at the time. No, it was just, but this seemed different. Like there was something different in the air. There was no coming back. There was no, like, even when Stephen McGuinness does his interview last Saturday, I think that was really the time when people started going, well, wait a minute, now this is getting serious now, because you're talking 48 hours away, 72 hours away. But when I compared to the SOS, what Dean was involved in, there was always that bit in the background where, no, this will be fine, we'll get out of this. Maybe because the money element of it wasn't as big as it is now. It was a different time. But this seemed like it was going to be doors shut, lights off. This was, it was so drastic, and it was hard to keep up with it. When I get home, maybe we up to Oriel Park and that, but it's only when you read the figures. We always read Dan McDonald's piece during the week as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff, some of the, when you hear things that are owed, not even big money, stupid money that's owed to businesses that shouldn't be owed. It's a real catastrophic minefield. I don't really know what way to describe it, but like Steph said, I watched John Temple's interview the other day. Look, he's come in. We've got 6 weeks. That's probably what he's bought us, 6-7 weeks here of the season. It's still just as worrying for me because I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the season. There's conflict and things. So at the meeting the other night, it was mentioned, the YDC, things like that have to be brought up to code and used, and then they're coming out the following day with into a Gav saying they're going to open the gym in a couple of weeks. So I don't know what the contrast is there. There's a bit of miscommunication. But it's dire. I mean, there is no what John has done and what I don't know who he's involved with, but they've bought us a couple of weeks, and it's an expensive couple of weeks. But I would definitely fear that this is all going to come up there. We're going to sit here in 6 weeks' time, and we're going to have a similar conversation again. Now, hopefully, in that time, something will change. But if it doesn't, we're going to be sitting here probably the end of October. What fixture until what time?
I think the last fixture is the first week in November.
Yeah, so we're going to be having a similar conversation. Hopefully, it's not as drastic as this. Hopefully, it might get sorted. But I really feel, whatever with the relegation, playing first division football next year, whatever with that. But
I think that doesn't seem like a worst case scenario anymore.
No, it really doesn't.
We're talking. We start the podcast, Gary. We're always talking about the result and whatever happened in the football match, but it's all pales in significance to actually not having a Dundalk football club and what that means to everybody in this community and here as well. And I think we literally came that close. I mean, when you read Dan McDonald's piece and you go blow by blow through it, I mean, it's scary where deadlines were coming, and Brian Ainscough clearly just wanted to wash his hands of this club and walk away, and if that meant that the club folded, it seemed to be so be it. And he was walking away from it. And like Steph, I don't know if you want to come in on at this then as well, but like obviously we have a big connection here on the podcast with Donald Green, who with Dundalk Village is our main sponsor here in the pod, and we've had Donald on several times as well, just for pure clarity on the situation. But even that situation with Donald, when I was talking to him Tuesday night, out in the car park in Oriel, like it was just crazy, that he flies over and he just finds out that he hasn't got the club when he steps off the aeroplane. It's nuts, like.
Yeah, look, I think there was a few of us keeping an eye on his social media between Twitter and Instagram, and yeah, like, look, I think for us even it came as a bit of a surprise. I know he put it out there that he wanted anybody to reach out to him that
was Sunday,
to save the club, and very admirable of him to be proactive in that. Obviously, he's in a position to do it, and he'd obviously these investors that he got, and he seemed like he was pretty confident that he was at least in the conversation. And then I know I seen his post on a social media where he was waiting at the airport, and then we obviously seen the tweets that come out then subsequent to that. Brian Ainscough obviously made the decision to go ahead with John Temple, and then there was talks when Donald came over. So look, I think I've probably been in the dark about a lot of stuff where you're sort of uncertain, and then you're sort of thinking, is Donald gonna go in with John Temple then, or is he going to hold fire and wait until the end of the season, possibly, if John's going to step back? And there's probably a lot to weigh up. Like, it's not like when we've been talking about these processes before, we've been told by a lot of people, these things can take months. Takeover can take months, and obviously we're in a bit of a delicate situation, and it was time sensitive. But all these talks have been rushed through, and hopefully if John Temple and his consortiums or investors, whatever he may have, if they don't see it as viable, hopefully somebody else can pick up the baton then, and whether it's we go through a SCAR process or whatever it may be, and then we just start building up. But look, I think it's vitally important that, if you're going to build it back up like a good house, you're going to have to get the good solid foundations in and start just walking your way up through that. Like, there's no point in, going down the same road that we've went down many times before, and then when it gets to an emergency state, then we all have to get back involved and try and do this and try and do that. And what can we do now? Whereas if we can be a bit proactive on this now, we've got enough scares that, can't be taking any more chances that we can let the club get down that they're that far down the road into, us going out of business to realise what we have here. The amount of history, you just even if you're talking about on the field stuff, the players that's went through the club, the great days, if you're talking about great football days, each of us here, even the three of us, and the people that's commenting and listening in on the show, it can give you any amount of memories that the Dundalk has, one way or another, give them. Even me not playing down in Kildare, but being involved with that squad that wins the first division. Anybody that's been involved or was down in Kildare or supporting the club at the time, that's stuff you can't buy. You can't experience that. You can't pay money to experience that. The league winning success, the cups, the European trips. There's endless amount of, even the boys winning the playoff against Waterford. Everything. Look, there's too much to even mention and go through. So I think, look, if we can all rally around, I know there's been a lot of talks and discussions between investors and owners and mystery people behind the scenes. But yeah, look, as we've spoken many times before, we need to get together as a supportive fan base, and everyone going in the same direction. Really get our ducks in order this time, and come together. There's plenty of different sections or factions or whatever you may call it inside the ground. Look, we all come from different parts of the ground ourselves. Gally in the stand, I'm in the town end, Chris is up in the gantry.
The VIP seats.
You know what I mean? You have an overseas man in Pingu, and then Hanks is up in the really expensive corporate boxes. You know what I mean? So
it's the permanent TSB box.
The Hanks royalty card he has. So yeah, like look, even just ourselves, like we've all come from different parts of the ground. We all have touched the club in some sort throughout the years. So yeah, look, I think it's ingrained in us now at this stage. So we need to make sure we don't get into that position again. But look, I think we're not out of the woods yet. So Gally's laughing at me saying we've all touched the club. It's not really, really naughty. So yeah, look, I think for everyone's sake that we all just need to get together and get moving forward again.
Gally, like I'm under no illusion that probably something that swayed any sort of owner coming in was the fact that we did have a sports capital grant for the new pitch and lights. Probably won't cover everything in that. You know, and I see Frank and Paul and everyone else kind of commenting in now, like now's the time we need to roll in behind this and get fundraising 100%, because like Steph said, it's the legacy of the club that's at stake here on all of this. And if I think, like Steph just said, it's the wake up call that we shouldn't have needed as a fan base. And you know, I think if we sit here and we moan enough ourselves about Oriel Park each week, you know, and I think if we need to start being serious about fundraising and kicking on, and you look at I think you threw it into the group with ourselves there tonight, Gally. It's a record fundraising from Sligo Rovers there tonight of like, was it 130 or something?
Massive.
Yeah. I think I threw it in, not Gally.
All right, sorry, Steph.
I was going to let it go. I think he's not listening. You're going to get him going. Well, it's like that's, you know, like. Yeah, sorry, we've been. I won't say we've taken it for granted, but Brendan Ogle spoke the other night as well, and you know, I think Brendan, Jerry Lennon, I think Scubs Larkin spoke to it, all on the same idea of we're not going to get this crack again. This is the third time. This will be the second time in 10 years. You know, if you exclude the Peak 6 fiasco, this is the second time in 10, 12 years. You won't get a third crack at this. We have to get together. You're not looking for millions, but we got to get the ball rolling on something. We got to get a sustainable fundraising idea together. And look, the 1903 lad, fantastic, back in with them, rolling with them. It was said the other night, Niamh O'Mahony was there, a great example of, you know, from the Forest and Cork. Let's use those examples, shed side on, we get them all together, create like a hub. I think Daniel Shields actually came up with a great point of getting one or two people from each faction, as Steph says, to come together and fundraise. But we will not get a third crack at this. We won't be safe. If this happens a third time, we will be 100% gone, because we won't get away with it again. You have too many lives. Like, it was Shelbourne 2006-esque. You know, that's what we're talking here. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And, you know, and Scubs Larkin made a great point the other night. No one man owns the club. It belongs to supporters. You're only a custodian. So we can't let somebody else come in again, do what they like, and then walk away with it. The fans have to, you know, kind of stand up and say, right, we need a chunk of this, no matter how small it is, or we need to have something in the background that can say, right, well, if we need money for this, then the fans have it there, or whatever it may be. But we will not get away with this again. It has to be the wake-up call that everybody's looking for.
Yeah, like Steph on the night, like Gally just mentioned there, you know, Jerry Lennon, he did come up and talk to me after and say that they did approach previous owners to ask about and inquire about some sort of fan ownership element of Dundalk Football Club, of which they never got a reply. But this is the time we've got to force the issue now, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and to be fair, like, I'd say that probably did happen. I'd say that the idea was there, but what is being talked about now, and I've seen it mentioned a good few times, is the membership club, or where you actually have, like, if this can actually take off, then you actually go to the club and you say, like, what's obviously been mentioned is that you have a certain amount in the membership club, just say 500 people, and if you're going to pay €400 for a year, similar, I think, to what Bohemians may do. And then you have this pot of money then, and you can go to the club with like a bargaining tool or whoever's in charge and say, look, we've 200,000 here. We want a slice of the cake. We want to be involved. Whether you have two people sitting on the board, maybe they don't have voting privileges, or look, if it goes down to the first division, you have to really be putting a stake in, like, or a piece of the club and going, look, we want to be involved in the decision making here.
Yeah.
And then you have the bargaining tool of your 200 grand or whatever it may be. It'd be easy for an owner to pat away, like, oh, we're looking to be involved. Like, people probably would have looked at it and go, well, what are they going to bring to the table? Whereas if you have that substantial amount of money, like, they can do, if it's the membership club, then I'd be looking at that as going towards, the day-to-day runnings of the club, or look, there's more intelligent people than me that'll know the right avenues where that money will go towards. But if that just boosts the coffers, like, it's a no-brainer to me that they'd have to get people involved, and I think we have to sort of get towards there. And then look, if we can get more people involved, and then you have more of a pot there again, like, there's no reason why you can't take more of a stake in the club, like other clubs are doing it. Like, we're just relying on someone with loads of money to come in, and like, we've had someone who has had loads of money come in and it's not worked, and we've whittled away money, and then they've lost interest and they're looking to sell straight away.
Yeah.
You've had local owners, for whatever reason, it's not worked as well. And then look, we're back to square one, someone bailing us out again. So look, if we, like, I've talked to many people this week, and like, anybody that you said, look, would you scale it right back, strip it right back, and start building again from the very bottom right up, and be in the first division, and just go from there. Like, and I don't think anybody's, because the alternative was going out of business, not having a football club. So like, I think anybody with the week we've gone through, just go through that. If we could have some sort of involvement at a supporter level, to be honest with you. But I think everyone needs to be more action, and like, it's get the plans in place and then start putting it into action. It's all well to be talking about it, but we need to just, Frank's mentioned in the comments, everyone needs to row in behind this now.
Yeah, look, I mean, Gally, even like Steph just said, Frank in the comments just talking about him with season tickets, just maybe leave them at home for the Bulls match next week and pay on the gate and try to get some extra money in. I suppose the whole idea between now and the end of the season is if we fundraise, that we can help the current owners. I know they're going to be talking to creditors to try to write down some of the debt. In his interview with Gav this week, John Temple talked about, for every euro that comes into the club, there's €2 wanting to be taken back out of it again. So I suppose if there is a write down of debt, we need some sort of pot of money, possibly stumped up by supporters, to show that we're committed to helping out the club, and that's probably what we need short term. And then long term, like Steph just said, that we need to come together as some sort, as a fan base here, and an organized fan base with some sort of a tiered membership option to come in, and I think if we do that, we probably a better chance of getting a say in the boardroom of Oriel Park.
Yeah, you gotta show your credentials. You gotta show, like, you can't just rock up and say, right, well, we're fans, so we want. You gotta show, like Steph says, you gotta show what your books. You gotta say, right, this is the plan. This is what we're looking for. You might get close to what you're looking for, but you gotta have something, some kind of proposal to say, yeah, well, this is viable. This is the way to go. Bows do it. Sligo do it. There's no reason why Dundalk, a football town, as people keep calling us, there's no reason why we shouldn't, approach this and really make a proper run of it. We can't. There's only so long you can sit back. Like Steph says, we don't want no more multi-millionaires coming in here. Let's work with someone who's of the local business or whatever business it would be.
We'll take them though.
We'll of course we take them, but not for them to walk away and go, yeah, well, you're not getting anything. I'm not going to leave that behind me.
Exactly.
We gotta. It's now the time to say, yeah, look, let's get at it. And that, like Frank's fundraiser, leave your season. It's a simple thing. Look, some people might turn their nose up, and some people go, oh, like paid me season ticket. Look, that's understandable. But a couple of quid. What have we got? 3 home games left, is it?
Yeah.
A couple of quid between now and the end of the season. Chip it in a couple of thousand there that might go for something. And that's how it starts. That's how you build it up, and then you go again. Hopefully we're here in January.
I think it's important to remember some of the local creditors or local businesses as well.
Yeah,
that without Dundalk football, without the money that Dundalk Football Club will, then will they remain in business? And I think that's a very important thing. And there are probably businesses that Dundalk Football Club and other clubs and stuff around town also need the use of and stuff like that. So you can't go burning your bridges around town. Exactly. That's also a very important thing. As I said, I think every Dundalk Football Club fan has probably gone around these scenarios inside their own head, and like Steph said, on WhatsApp groups and in-person conversations with everyone for the past week, and it's definitely a head spinner for everybody. But I think it's important that we try to get our heads down now and start contributing maybe a little bit more to this club and start driving it ourselves. I personally feel the onus on Oriel Park and the upgrades of Oriel Park is on us, the fans, from here on out. And I think that's definitely something as a common goal, that if we can't sit back and say, we know Oriel Park's terrible, we need to start doing something about that. And I think that comes down to fundraising for ourselves and working with it, Stephen Neary, Simon Blackmore, and everyone else on the development group that's already there, that secured the latest grant, of which, we wouldn't have a pitch coming very soon, and we wouldn't be getting any sort of a license coming from it as well. And, as I said, I'm sure a lot of this stories of Dundalk FC has a lot more to play out as the season comes to its conclusion. And, will, as we talked about earlier on, will our own Donald Green be part of that? We don't know anything just yet. And we'd like to hope so, because we know Donald is a I suppose someone who has the club really at his heart as well, which I think if we can make people like that get into influential positions in the club, I think it might be beneficial in the long run. And maybe John Temple has people like that already lined up. We just don't know. So I think all we can do is try our best to try to help the club reduce some of the debt that's out there. But I think in the back of all our heads of everything that's going on as well, everybody on this podcast, and I would say every one of us here has a deep connection to Maxi in one way or the other, and to hear what the struggle he's going through right now, and his family, I think it's sad in the current situation with Dundalk FC, because everybody knows Maxi has that in his heart. He bleeds black and white, but there's no doubt about that. And just to say that we're all thinking of himself, we're all thinking of his family right now. That's probably the most important thing tonight. Far more than any football matches or anything else like that, or even Dundalk Football Club, because it's when we talk about a community club, it's really people like Maxi that you can't walk through town without him pulling you aside, and 20 minutes later you're still talking about little ideas in Oriel Park and little things that could be done. And I've got this little idea, let me run this by you. And right, you may set yourself down there for 20 minutes because you're going nowhere. He's going to be chewing the ear off you. But that's what a community club is. That's the sort of people that Dundalk Football Club should make sure they always remember at the heart of the club. Because no matter what, they're the people who represent the club out there in the community. And I think we'll just end, lads, just on on that note of that we are thinking of Maxi, and his family right now. And in Maxie's famous words that he used to end everything on anyway, come on to town.